Hello, Browns fans. Do you like blowouts, Tony? Do you like blowouts?
Love them.
I love them too. In my 44 years on this planet, it's been since the move. I've never remembered a better game to watch as a Browns fan. Tony, I felt like this game was over at halftime. I did.
Yeah, it was a great one. I mean, dominated the whole time. Offense looked good. Defense looked amazing as usual, and it was another one of those wins where you didn't really worry like they were gonna lose it because they were just dominating every single time.
Domination. So there's nothing more fun than going through a domination film session. Tony Camino takes us through. Read the article on believeintheland.com to juice in all of your fun film. Look, folks, eat this up. As a good friend, James Carville, said, when you win in politics, you got to read all the polls. Folks, watch all the film.
Yeah.
These don't come around often. This was almost it wasn't perfect, but it was an A-plus paper. So away we go. Tony, first is Myles Straw. Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett. Yeah, this one, we could spend a whole hour video going through this game and just saying, wow, look at what 95 was doing. I mean, that man was on a mission, and with this D-line, it's really poised him to have as big of a year as ever. So, right here, the only scoring drive of the day, right after his run stuff on Derrick Henry, this drive ends up going for -9 yards, but 2nd and 13, Myles makes a play the play before, and he's lined up here in like a wide 9, slaps the hands down in a pass play, and at this point when he slaps his hands down and gets Dillard leaning back like that, it's over. Garrett then just uses his speed and strength and plows right through him, gets a hand on the ball, and makes a huge play to get the Browns, forced him into a long 3rd and long situation, and settled for a field goal on the only blunder offense had with the turnover and the only scoring drive, which went for -9 yards. That is unbelievable.
The one thing I'm noticing with that we wrote about today too on believeinland.com, this kind of stuff here is what I used to see growing up with LT, Lawrence Taylor, where they basically be like, look, it's just time to get an edge. Meaning, this is unusual. This is a far run, but he's so good that he just needs the angle. I love this angle here, Tony. I didn't see this last year, Joe Woods. I really didn't. I didn't see angles like this at times. The other thing is the hand slap, perfect formation, and then finally, he just overpowers the guy. Tony went through it, but the reason why I wanted to go and double dip a little bit, Myles Garrett's very, very good. And it wasn't fair how people criticize this game against TJ Watt on Monday Night Football. This guy's so good, Tony. He's so good, and he's really on his way to having a big year. Really is.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the stuff he does doesn't show up just because he got the sack. And the thing is, this year is you're seeing his impact with other players. Last year we didn't see that impact because while he would make the plays he needed to make to help everybody else get in position, nobody else was there to clean up what he started. And it resulted in a lot of times where Myles did everything he could, and nobody was there because the rest of the D-line was nowhere near the way the rest of this D-line is this season.
To follow up on your point, and we're going to obviously see it again here in a little bit, Myles, for the first time, we don't see that panting. We don't see that move where his helmet's off and his hands are on his shoulders because he's just exhausted. And Tony, he's been flamboyant, sure. He looks like he's having fun. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
It looks like he's finally having fun this year.
It all looks like they're having a blast, and I think a lot of people want to credit that to Zadarius Smith in a lot of different ways. Obviously, he's an all-pro pass rusher, but the attitude you can get from the media of what Zadarius Smith is like is very fun. We saw him after week 1 trying to celebrate with the fans. Like, he's a guy who's going to enjoy what he's doing. And so to have a guy who's had as much success as he's had playing alongside Myles Garrett, it's reminding Myles to enjoy himself and have fun out there. And it should be fun when you're as good of a football player as Myles Garrett is.
All true. And again, we're going to see more of Myles, but I think people need to recognize how much he has been asked to do in his career. And we'll get to that more later. But I just see him a totally new player, Tony. I just do. Yeah. He's not doing anything different, but he's just more energized. 3 games in. Look, things can change, but 3 games in, my gosh, totally different player. And now to a big storyline going into this week. How would Mr. Ford do? Jerome Ford you're going to take us through a play here earlier in the game.
Yeah, so this is a great one here, the touchdown play. And so we started this one with Jerome Ford in the backfield. He motions out to empty. And so when you motion a running back out to empty, what you're seeing is if the linebacker goes with him, you're thinking it's man-to-man coverage because you wouldn't have a linebacker covering anyone else.
Right.
You wouldn't have him playing the zone out there. And if it's a receiver, it's man. So we get the backer that follows forward, or if you get the corner, it would be zone. But the backer follows him, so you would think it's man. But a wrinkle that I saw from Jake Burns on the Orange and Brown Report, don't want to take credit for watching the Titans film, he said the Titans have a nice response to this, so they'll have the man go out there, and he'll be in a zone coverage, or he'll be playing man while everybody else is playing zone.
I
So
see.
Deshaun's read is then, okay, they're in man, let's look back. The Titans are trying to get you to force back to the other side of the field where then they're in zone and they can play it. The Browns have a double move here, so the linebacker's in man. They know that he's going to be in man while everyone else is in zone. He runs a double move on this under route. The linebacker jumps it, thinking he's only going to run an under route or vertical or a hitch, and then it's an easy, wide open touchdown. So this is just great all around. They found a hole in the scheme that they could exploit, and you could see Jerome Ford's experience as a receiver back in high school here. This is a really good sell as a double route. Linebackers aren't meant to cover guys like that on double moves, and he was really only taught this guy's only going to run three different routes, and he ran a double move, wasn't expecting it, perfect execution all around, and it was a flawless touchdown.
The one thing that I saw in this game that Watson does not get credited for, Watson's clearly a studier of film. And he clearly studies his opponent. Because what he just said is everything that happened here. He knew the situation. He knew what we had. And, you're right. I mean, Ford made a really nice play here. I mean, a really nice play. And the Titans, I know they have some weaknesses in the pass game, all given. Doesn't mean they're not smart. It's a bright team. I actually thought they played well. They just didn't have the parts. I mean, I don't know how you felt, but that's kind of what I was watching this game. Like, that's why I was confident. I'm like, they're actually not playing terribly. They're just not as good. We're just a better team right now.
Yeah, I actually thought the Titans, the stats didn't look good, and that was a huge thing as though Deshaun did it against not a great pass defense, but if you go back and watch the film, the Titans covered very well.
They did.
This was one of, besides that last touchdown, which the Titans gave up at that point, this was really the only play where you're like, oh yeah, that guy's open. Deshaun's throwing to a wide open receiver. A lot of these other ones were tight windows, tight throws, and contested catches, which isn't great, but it shows that we didn't just blow out some team that was leaving all these gaps in their coverage.
Yep. And I think what we're going to start to see in this game too, and then we'll get to the next. There's two more defensive plays after that. What a shock! They'll go back to offense. I thought the one nice thing in this game is, and I wasn't surprised about this, and I wrote about it. I thought the Titans were going to take away the run. They did. They were forcing this team to pass, and obviously he had a big day. Did you see that too? Because I thought really in this game they were going to like, you know what, Deshaun Watson, you're going to beat us, and he did. He did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was they're a team that excels up front. Jeffrey Simmons they have so they're more inclined to stop the run just as it is.
Right.
I don't think they really could have game planned much better to stop Deshaun, maybe bring some more pressure because like I said, he wasn't throwing to open guys.
Right.
They were covered almost every time and it was just working. So, if teams are going to play us like that where there's going to be those windows on back shoulder throws, well, we've seen early on that the guys are going to be able to connect on them.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. What did Mr. Hurst do on this play?
Maurice Hurst, that's been a huge pickup so far. All four of our D tackles are rotating in. He's been going in with Shelby Harris while Elliott plays with Tomlinson. And I have no complaints about any of them. Here, Hurst, though, had a big breakout game. 3-tech over the guard. This is going to be outside zone. Derrick Henry's trying to get outside here. And just like everything else, right on the snap, Hurst hits him with a great swim move. Textbook. And you can't really see Delpit from the pictures. He runs a straight line over past Derrick Henry to really help cut him off. And then with Hurst in the backfield right when the play starts, it really disrupts the whole play. The really impressive part after the great rush to win the move was the fact that he redirects with Derrick Henry and actually ends up making the tackle himself. So to end up, he made a great move right on the snap, got off the line quickly, beat his man right in an instance, blew up the play, and then somehow ended up retracing his steps to still tackle Derrick Henry. And it was a TFL and just another great run play that summed up the way the Browns' run defense was playing. And Maurice Hurst was a huge reason. He had a great game, just like all the other D linemen.
Goes back to the point we both talked about this. I said today a lot, the depth. If you look, I'm going to hold the screen just a little longer. JOK, even on this play, they did a nice job on him. So Darius Smith, they did a pretty nice job, but it doesn't matter because of what you said about Hurst here. And it just tells you the depth of this team, Tony. It's amazing. Yeah. It really is. It's really amazing. And you know what? I said in my articles, I'll say it here. Tip of the cap to Andrew Berry. All these picks, JOKs even, the Delpits, all these things have really built a credibility. He put a lot of stock into the secondary. Emerson, Newsome, who didn't play this Sunday. But all these guys, Tony, it's paying off. It really is. The depth of the Browns defense is amazing now. Really is.
Yeah, really. It really is. I mean, to make Jordan Elliott like a usable piece, and Alex Wright even came in, didn't play a ton, but was effective, had a sack. And Cameron Mitchell.
Shit. Sorry. Hold on for a second, Tony. Hold on. Hey, honey, hold on real quick.
Yeah, it's shady in the church.
Hold on real quick. Hey, Tony, hold on real fast, buddy. I got good news. We can pick it up right here because I actually fucked up. I didn't see there's a Hurst 4.
Oh, so, I mean, it was really just him making the tackle anyway. Okay. So it wasn't like the end of the world to miss.
All right, so let's. All right, I can do this. Where were we for? And Chrissy needed to call me because I need to see that church. Yeah. So before we, I'm sorry, this has been my day.
No, it's all right.
We were talking about Hurst, so
I think we were really at the end of talking about him. We can just wrap it up. Talk back about like how the depth and Andrew Berry's made great moves to.
Yeah. So here, actually, I'll do this. I was trying to think of what I was saying. I was thinking about Berry's draft. Okay, so I'll do this. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to go 5, 4, 3, do a 2 and a 1, then you pick it up after I comment about Berry, whatever I would say. Okay, ready?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
5, 4, 3.
So Andrew Berry has done a great job getting talent, and I think nothing resembles that more than Zadarius Smith for a 5th.
Yep.
Really, before we got Zadarius, we picked up Okoronkwo, and that was a big deal. We got him, the draft picks that we did hit on, and even Cameron Mitchell, he was responsible for a couple of the bigger plays, but still, all in all, he had a very good showing in his first real game. And I talked about it in one of the reflections. It's very odd and a great thing for the Browns defense. Not only do they not have a weakness, you can argue that every position is a strength.
Yeah, I said that. I didn't read what you wrote there. I said the same thing. I go, what's just amazing, it just comes in waves. And that's why, and I'll bring it up one more time. I'm going to do it one more time. Again, in fairness here, of course, now it's not going to work. Whatever. Hold on. Give me there we go. Yay. So look at this play here. I mean, Zadarius Smith did a nice job. JOK kind of got pushed out. But the waves of talent, I mean, even Taki, I mean, they're all there. JOK, it's an amazing to see, Tony, because, you know, this points out defensive tackle. It's not sexy. You kind of said it, and you said it really well. But look at how important it was for him to blow up the play. Now, he happened to make the tackle. But even if he didn't, that rush we've not seen from – we were seeing it from Hurst. Tomlinson had a couple of them. Even, dare I say, Alex Wright on one move, even though he's usually on the end. He had a great move in this game where he was in the inside. It's making a huge difference on this team.
Yeah, it really is, and they're the anchor going forward. We've got great talent at all positions. Everyone's playing well, but it starts with the D-line. If they can continue to play like this, blow up the run game, get pressure on the quarterback, it's going to make everyone's life on that unit so easy all year.
And because they put so much stock in the secondary, Tony, it's actually going to make the Browns, now they have the defensive line, so much better. Well, we're talking about defensive line. We must talk more about Myles Garrett.
Oh, yeah.
Myles Garrett at the end of the half, which was obviously, I mean, look, sometimes it's obvious. This is the play of the game.
Yeah. When you're sitting here thinking on that play, everybody knew it. Vrabel knew it. Tannehill knew it. Everybody knew. The only thing that cannot happen here is a sack. So as great as it was for Myles to win this rep, again, in that wide 9 technique way outside, it's great to win the rep, and it's great to just break up the play. But they still would have been able to get 3, which would have cut it to a 7-point game or a 4-point game, and they had ball right after half. So this could have been one of those double dips. Now, against our defense, it wasn't going to happen like that. But this is one of those situations where against good teams, they're going to try to hit you with those two scores and really change the game. So when you have a chance right here to just absolutely stop a drive like that, I mean, that is a game changing play. And Myles Garrett knew it and he came through here. Another time, just Andre Dillard did not have a fun day blocking him.
No.
He's not he's way too upright, way too top heavy here, and Miles is just too quick. He gets under him, and at this point, when you get here, it's over. He's driving you back into the quarterback. We saw this numerous times on Sunday when he was just moving Dillard back. He didn't even need to hit him with a move. He could just bull rush through him, and he gets to the quarterback and sacks him down the half, and that's just you felt really, really good about the chances once that happened.
Yep. I'll say it. I felt the game was over.
Yep.
And on that play, we won't relive it too much because it's, again, just, I don't want to say this because it's not fair to Myles. It just reminds me of Lawrence Taylor. I thought in this game, it just reminded me of my childhood. It's like, gosh, that is LT running around just causing problems. He did. Myles really does cause problems on this team. And again, what's great, there will be a game where Darius Smith goes off.
Yeah.
There will be a game where Denzel Ward picks off a couple balls. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. And to see this already from this team is just so exciting. Defense is just where it's at on this team. That said, it was a great day for our boy Deshaun Watson. What happens on this play here, Tom?
This one is kind of just a symbol of how the day was going and exactly what they needed to do. But so here we go. It's 3-by-1, 3-by-2 actually. It's empty. 3 receivers to the top, all extended from the core. They're running man defense here. And very simple, we're just running a launch concept. So the guy closest to the boundary and then the number 3 and a 2 are both running hitch. DPJ can go outside release vertical up the sideline. And just like many plays this game, it was covered pretty well. It's DPJ, who's not a guy who wins on routes very often, didn't win on this route. But Deshaun has this great timing and accuracy on these back shoulder fades and these contested catches with Amari Cooper and DPJ where he can hit him regardless. They just have the one-on-one look, and if Deshaun can put it in the right spot, which he does, it's really hard to tell in this picture. And the best part for DPJ here was the ball just arrives right there, and it's hard to tell, but this is just when he starts showing his hands. So, and that's a huge part for Cooper and DPJ why this can work. Showing your hands late forces the defender to not play the ball. So the second you show it, he shows. Doesn't show it until late, and Deshaun couldn't throw this ball any better. It was really right where it needed to be, and we lived on these contested fades all day, and it worked, and they showed that they can get that done when they have to. So it's going to be nice in these coming weeks when guys start to get schemed open more. The screen game was really close to hitting about 4 plays on Sunday. When that starts to really hit the big ones, not just 10-yard plays, and we get guys downfield open, I think the passing game really should start to open up. This was a great sign on Sunday.
I mean, I'll just literally take a dime. We say taking dimes, throwing dimes. Literally, Tony drew a dime, and he threw a dime. I mean, that's as tight as it gets. He had several of those plays. I agree with Tony. The one thing that I'll say about Watson, to be fair, I thought in this game again, he was challenged and he stepped up. Tony, I thought after the hit to the head, which is obviously roughing the passer, I thought I saw a new Deshaun Watson from that play forward. I don't know what you felt, but he really was on target. I thought early on he was a little jittery. But man, after that play where it was a goofy play where they lost a bunch of yards, and on second and forever, clear. I mean, that was a head hit. The guy's lucky he may not. I mean, in certain circumstances, that was that was a headhunter play.
Yeah.
Anyways, all that to be said, he got through it, but good. Deshaun's tough. I thought he showed a lot of toughness. Just after that play, I don't know what happened, obviously, but boy, Deshaun looked so confident. Really did. He played really well. God, he had a great game.
Yeah,
he did.
It's like a B+ game, and when you've got a defense like this, if you're going to give us B+ games, we're going to win 99 times out of 100. So when we can have that, build on this. We saw the most emotion out of Stefanski on the sideline you've ever seen because these two have been working so hard to get that big play, to get on track. They know that this can be a great matching, but it's a work in progress, and it still is. It's not over by any means. This 1 week doesn't mean everything is good again, but it's a great step in the right direction and bodes well for the future chances.
I'll leave it on this note. I don't think this team's even close to their ceiling. I even say that for their defense.
Yeah.
Their defense is not getting turnovers yet. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. Teams are going to start turning the ball over. I think it's going to really make a big difference. One other question that I wanted to ask you, and we can talk about this a little bit. I do wonder about the running game. I know we didn't heighten in this game. The running game didn't matter. And again, I thought the Titans, I wasn't surprised. It's usually how it goes against the Titans for the Browns. They usually don't run great, even with Nick Chubb there. It's not that kind of game. Even the year they blew him out, Baker went off. He was throwing bombs everywhere. Are you concerned about the running game, or is it just something to watch? What are your thoughts?
I think the O-line in general needs to play better. There was a lot of miscommunications and feeling like not everybody was on the exact same page, but I have faith that it will. There were moments, I think the more the scheme kind of gradually changes to the more shotgun like we expect, there were some flashes of shotgun runs to Jerome Ford. I think he had a 9-yard one at one point.
Yep.
So it's not going to be the Nick Chubb running offense, but I think they should still have success. We've got a great O-line. Jerome Ford is capable. Kareem Hunt's great in the screen game. The running back by committee with this O-line is capable to still have a very good running presence. Not the one we had, but I'm not really too worried about it. I just think the matchup wasn't there, and the short week didn't help. But going forward, I'm not too worried about it.
There you go. I'm on the same plane, but I'm watching it. So I do want to see some improvement. And to Tony's point, the offensive line grading on passing was wonderful. It's still not there on running game, so that's something they'll have to work on in the future, starting this week against the Ravens. All right, so check out Tony's article. It goes through all these different plays. There's a lot of wonderful stuff that Tony is doing. Sometimes even myself gets in there to be Bill Shakespeare. Not as good as Tony, but I try to be. Check it out on believeintheland.com. Check out all of our videos here on the YouTube page, etc., etc. We'll be on this week for the Ravens, 9 a.m. live. Check us out, and then all sorts of commentary throughout the week as well. Tony's there. I'm Andy Billman here. Thank you. That was the most fun week of my life, Tony. Loved this Sunday.
Yeah.
That was a great one. Let's do it again. Have a good one. Perfect. I'm going to switch the background. And we're going to go right to Cavs. The negative story.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to count this down in about 5 seconds. There we go. Well, we've had a shift and change. Tony mentioned it. We all kind of thought, well, Lillard go maybe to the Heat. There's some wild rumors about him going to Toronto. He went to the Bucks. That's a big change in the East. Tony Camino there. I'm Andy Billman here. We're going to talk about what that means for our Cavs. That is a big, huge shift. Tony, I'll let you lead off. I'm with the Charles Barkleys, Richard Jeffersons. You can't help to think the Bucks are a heavy favorite.
Yeah, the odds reflect that. They should be on paper. This is probably definitely the most talented team Giannis has had.
Mm-hmm.
Damian Lillard's got a support staff, and this team on paper looks like they have no flaws, and they really should be those title contenders. It was a great trade for them. Lost Drew Holiday, which hurts, but they got Damian Lillard back, and when you compare all the shooting they have now with Giannis Antetokounmpo, it is going to be a nightmare for defenses.
If there's one positive, Cavs fans, after these 2 years, the Bucks are going to have a lot of troubles. but that's our window. That's why I'm not in love with this. Some people are like, oh, you're overreacting. I don't think I am. Cavs have a 2-year window with Mitchell. This is the same kind of window now that the Bucks have. I love this for the Bucks. I hate this as a Cavs fan. I think it's a perfect complementary player. I actually think, too, it's going to help Middleton, who I think has been really worn down over the past years, feeling that nothing against Drew Holiday. He's a wonderful defender, and he's a total spark plug. In fact, he will be traded from the Trailblazers. Some contenders going to get a great player who's going to be very hungry to win. That said, Tony, I think Lillard's going to love playing with Giannis. Yeah. I think it's such a great matchup. All right, so when the Cavs have to play this team, my initial thought is Giannis is Giannis. I mean, at least we have Mobley who will be able to help with that situation. You can never stop Giannis, but he can help as a 5. The Lillard thing, every time I've seen the Blazers play the Cavs has just had nightmares of Lillard. It's not a good – and by the way, he's a great player. So that's my initial thoughts. Like, I think the Giannis thing, but now with Lillard, I'm worried about Lillard. I really am. Really concerned how they're going to slow him down.
Yeah, it definitely takes away that you're not going to double Giannis ever. You can't. Because outside of just Lillard, this team has shooters: Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, Chris Middleton, Pat Connaughton, all shooters besides Giannis. So you're not going to be able to double him. And the concern about guarding Damian Lillard is, I think it would be Donovan Mitchell in a closing lineup scenario, but that's not something I feel amazing in. He's not a horrible defender, but Lillard is so good, and they're so good at hunting matchups. They're gonna find a way to get him switched on to Darius Garland, and nothing against DG because at his height, his defense is limited as it is, but it's gonna be a challenge to slow him down. So hopefully they have some chemistry issues. It doesn't bode well for the chances this year or next year, but the biggest thing with the window is if the Cavs can just show that they are right there with them. If they don't show they're too far off, I think it's not unreasonable to think Mitchell stays. But if we go through these next 2 years and we look like we're just in that same tier as the Knicks still, where we're looking to just win a series, then that could change things. So really, just still need to have progress. This isn't a year where it's title or bust. We just need significant progress up into that tier, the top tier, maybe just below the Bucks and Celtics.
Yep, all well said. I think in these games, would not be surprised to see a little bit more Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert's actually not a half bad defender. He's not fantastic, but he's not terrible. And he actually does a nice job on boxing out. So I think that will actually help here. So keep Lillard out of getting second chances, which that's not really Lillard's game, but I think it's going to be. I think now with Giannis, I think it's going to really open up Lillard to go slashing that lane after a miss. In fact, I think that's going to be a big part of his game. He could never do that in Portland because he just didn't have a man that could really do that. With people focusing on getting on Giannis, I think people are going to forget about Lillard, and if he misses, he's going to swoop in there and get the bucket pretty easily. I think second chance points for him will be up too. The thing about this, Tony, to your point, this is really going to challenge, and thank God now the Cavs have a roster where, maybe Okoro too. Maybe Okoro, because he is taller. Maybe he goes up against Lillard there. What do you think of that? Maybe Okoro, maybe? Because I know he's not the fastest, but boy, he's big. At least he can take some of the size away from Lillard.
Yeah, he's definitely the best defensive option to throw at him. 6'5", He's got a height advantage, he's got a strength advantage. He's our best defender and our best guard defender by far.
Yes.
The issues are going to be, can he shoot himself on the floor? He doesn't have to. He's been shooting himself off the floor lately, and we can't afford that on the offense to have a guy that's not being guarded. But LeVert will be another option, like you mentioned, because of his length.
Yep.
He's not necessarily the quickest feet, but he can afford to lose a little bit because his wingspan makes up for it.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting, but the biggest concern is, and not really concern, the biggest thing to watch is the development of Garland and Mobley, because that's going to be how far this team goes. If they can, and this, again, is probably not going to be 1 year jump to stardom to dominating as MVPs, but the more they can develop their ceilings, the closer they get to their full potential. If they reach 90% of it, this is probably a Cavs team that's right there with the Bucks and the Celtics. So while it is a tough move and it's making the road harder, things always happen. Things don't always go the way they're expected to. We look at those Nets teams that had all the talent in the world and worked when they played, but couldn't ever get it done. The Suns recently, great move in this for them though, by the way, but just it's not good for us, but it's not the end of the world. It's still more on them than anyone else.
They have not had Middleton around the last 2 years. He could certainly leave. That's not good. They've been really lucky outside of Middleton. They've actually had a fairly healthy club. I think if Giannis misses some time, obviously Lillard, which Lillard has missed time, so it's not like it's unusual for him for that. But I do agree with you. I think the key is for the Cavs. This is a team that's in your division, and I know the NBA doesn't mean as much as other things, but okay, they're in your division. But I agree with Tony. You can't be intimidated, but you have to be realistic. This is now changing the East, in my opinion. Huge. I mean, that's obvious. But to me, it's like we had a show previously. Who's this debate, blah, blah? There's no debating. It's the Bucks. Mm-hmm. It's time to beat the Bucks. This whole season is going to be, Once we get in the playoffs, can we beat the Bucks? Am I wrong? That's what I think now from here on out.
I think the Celtics have the potential to still match up
Sure.
with them.
Sure.
So I think it'll be something to keep an eye on. In theory, you would think the Bucks are still the better team. So it'll just be interesting to see how it plays out. Just got to keep your head down, get through the season, because you never know what happens come March, April. Maybe we get hotter and really start to hit our stride.
Well, right.
And I don't want to just rely on a team getting hot to win, but you see we tend to wear down at the end of years instead of build up. If they can do the opposite and build themselves up for the playoffs, they're going to have a shot.
Here's the one positive. There has been 2 games that I've seen over the last 2 years where the Cavs actually did a nice job on Giannis. And actually, Giannis complimented the Cavs one time after a press conference, saying it was like it just was not easy going up against them. Mobley, I think, is actually going to take another leap. Mobley does help here. It really does. It saves a lot of bacon because he can play a 5 and it's actually comfortable there and everything will be okay. So because of that, it's not, to Tony's point, it's not impossible. Because if you have someone who can actually take away Giannis, not for the whole game, but on certain possessions, I mean, that takes away half your problems. So then it comes down to what you do with Lillard. And that'll have to be figured out, whether it's Okoro, whether it's LeVert, maybe it's Mitchell sometimes. That's going to have to figure it out. But I will say, to give hope, Mobley's going to be key now.
Yeah.
Mobley's going to have to be healthy when they play the Bucks because he's going to be a big part of these games. He really is. All right, so that's that. The Bucks now have Lillard and Giannis, and they're already cracking champagne bottles. Good for Milwaukee. Bleh. All that to be said, let me bring some hope. It's not over. Tony's right about that. Long season and injuries always play a part of this game. But that's what I see here. Tony, real quickly, if you had to guess today in Vegas, do you see Milwaukee as the number 1 seed coming out?
As the number 1 seed,
not winning at all, not winning the East, just the number 1 seed going to play.
Yeah, I think they will be the number 1 seed because even if they do struggle, this is a newer thing. They're gonna have to learn how to play together. It's not, it's not a drastic change, but they're not gonna. And with all the new rules, they're not gonna just sit out games to sit them out. They're gonna use every single one as a feel-out process. So I would expect them to finish number 1, and especially with Porzingis. You know, he's always missing time.
Right.
Even as good as he is, that's not a team that's going to rely on him to play 65, 70 games. I think the Bucks will rely on their guys to play a lot, and even if Dame misses time, they can still find ways to win without him.
Yep.
So, yeah, I would say they're probably the number 1 seed.
I think there will be 2. So to everybody else out there, remember that. That's okay. Because once you get in the playoffs is where it counts. And that's what we learned last year. Because we were 4 seed at home, and now it didn't matter much. Just get into the big dance, like to say. One last thought. I want to ask you about this too. I think because of this, though, it actually helps some of the other opponents. I think the Sixers now, the Bulls, all these other teams that were kind of going after Lillard, I think it's a big shot to them, worse than the Cavs. I think these teams really take a blow. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, those teams like the Bulls have kind of been teetering in the middle. They're probably going to give it one more year and then blow everything up.
Yeah.
And all these other, the Harden saga, if that ends with Harden not being back in Philly, they don't really have much of a chance. The Knicks haven't won in forever, so I don't expect them to just lay down. But for a lot of the other contenders in the East, this is going to be, all right, the Celtics and Bucks are the top dogs right now, and unless we think we can contend with them, there's no reason really going all in and making a big move.
Yeah, I think it hurts these second-layer teams, which the Cavs are in the second layer. But to me now, after this, I would actually say it's the Cavs, Knicks, maybe the Sixers, probably in there too, but the Sixers don't scare me. Sixers run layer 1. And Tony's right. Layer 1 is Bucks and Celtics. Those are top 2. So there's a positive. That second layer teams, Miami, not so worried. I mean, all those kind of teams that kind of, the Damian Lillard thing really, really hurts what they're trying to do. Tony will be writing all sorts of good things about the Cavs going throughout the season. Not about the Bucks, about the Cavs, which will be good. Tony will be doing that. And I'll be commentating and hopefully doing a lot of Cavs clapping here in the fall. Tony there. I'm going to be able to here. See you all throughout the Cavs season. Tony, we did it.
We did it.
Go. Okay, I'm going to let you go. Thanks for putting up with my delays today. I'm hoping after Guardian season it kind of creates some more, how should we say, harmony with timing. Again, great article. That really rated well on Google. Good job, man.
Thank you.
Have a good one, dude.
You too.
Later.